What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Commander video, and I'm sure you've all heard by now the big news of yesterday was that Hullbreacher from Commander Legends has been banned from the Commander format. And now this was kind of a no-brainer for me. You have probably the best blue card made in recent years, and it's very reminiscent of why something like Leovold, Emissary of Trest, was powerful. Beyond powerful, I mean it was broken. If you're able to play something like a Windfall or a Wheel of Fortune, you will lock out your opponents, and not only that, but you will net yourself a ton of treasure tokens, making it almost a guarantee that you have enough resources to win the game, because you're getting all of the card draw that you want, and the treasure tokens, your opponents aren't drawing any cards at all. This was an absolute headache, and I just feel like they're making more and more cards like these, now that they feel more comfortable creating sets for Eternal formats. There's less of an obligation to make these cards fair, because Commander's known for being an over-the-top format where you have a lot of already pretty powerful synergies, so I'm guessing if you have something like Consecrated Sphinx, oh, why is this so powerful? Well, it's powerful in the sense that you're locking down your opponents. I mean, it's bad enough that we have some very powerful cards that offer you one-sided abilities. Hullbreacher just makes the game miserable for anyone who isn't prepared to deal with it. So I'm going to read it off just in case if there's someone out there who doesn't know why Hullbreacher is powerful. 3 mana flash, Merfolk Pirate. If an opponent would draw a card except the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, instead you create a treasure token. So the instead just replaces whenever they would draw a card beyond their normal draw in their draw step. That card draw is replaced by you getting treasure tokens. So that is a lock card. That's what locks down your opponents. We have Narset, Parter of Veils, we have Smothering Tithe. While these are not going to be as powerful, Narset does kind of offer you the same thing, but without the advantage in treasure tokens, and she also doesn't have flash, so I'm guessing that's a reason why she hasn't been close to banned yet. Smothering Tithe, of course, doesn't lock down your opponents, it just nets you a ton of treasure tokens, sort of the union of these two cards here in Hullbreacher. But of course, Hullbreacher is closest related to Leovold, in that once you get it out and you do combo it with some sort of wheel ability, wheel card, you will in fact just win the game because you've stopped your opponents from getting any more cards, and your resources just keep growing while your opponents are not allowed to get theirs going. So let me read the official reasoning from the Commander Rules Committee. Hullbreacher has been a problem card since its release. Its ostensible defensive use against extra card draw has been dwarfed by offensively combining it with mass draw effects to easily strip players' hands while accelerating the controller. That play pattern isn't something we want prevalent in casual play, see the Leovold ban, and we have seen a lot of evidence that it is too tempting even there as it combines with wheels and other popular casual staples. The case against the card was overwhelming. There remain a few similar cards that are still permitted, notably Notion Thief and Narset, Parter of Veils. The additional hoops required, an additional color pip for Notion Thief, and sorcery speed for Narset, appear to be keeping them to the appropriate level of play, though we'll continue to keep an eye on them. So again, that's just what I talked about here with Narset, Parter of Veils. We already have lockdown cards that do similar things. Notion Thief is harder to play because it requires blue and black for many decks, and Narset is a bit slower without the huge upside in treasure tokens. Now we've reached a point where I just think we're going to get more cards like Hullbreacher, because 2020 specifically was a year where we just started to get more Commander products in general, and if we get more Eternal format specific products, we're going to see more powerful cards. These are never before printed brand new cards specifically for the Eternal formats, which that hasn't really been a thing outside of the Commander Precon decks, where you just get brand new cards that are only playable in Legacy, Vintage, outside of Commander itself. So the likeliness of you seeing something that's just over the top powerful, like a Hullbreacher, like a Leovold, because we're getting more products, because we're getting more Precon decks, because we're probably going to be getting more sets like Commander Legends in the future, it just means we're going to see more ban-worthy cards. The ban list is going to be more of a factor. That's not always a good thing. If you need a quick reminder from my earlier days on YouTube, I discussed thoroughly how negatively the Yu-Gi-Oh! Ban list has affected that card game. Rather than addressing problems, rather than making the playing experience better for everyone, it acts more as a form of planned obsolescence, where everyone is hyped about certain cards to play certain decks, only for the people who create the cards to turn around and decide 2 or 3 months later that they're ban worthy. And look, here's a new product. Here are new shiny cards that you should go buy, but guess what? Don't get too attached to them because we're gonna ban them too 2 to 3 months later. That was just such an annoying part of that game. It's one of the main reasons why I left it. Planned obsolescence, tricking players into investing their time and money into decks that you know are not going to stick around for much longer because they're going to have cards that are banned. Now that being said, Commander is safeguarded in the sense that you're not going to see an entire strategy focused on Hullbreacher. Hullbreacher is a powerful card. It's going to be featured in many combos for many competitive decks, and it's rarely ever the build-around card, quite like a Food Chain or a Doomsday or a Protean Hulk. Anything like those cards are central for their decks in competitive EDH. Hullbreacher is just a really powerful advantage card, but a powerful advantage card that hinders your opponents, which is always something you have to be aware of. Don't get too attached to cards that are just that oppressive. So next time you see anything close to Hullbreacher, next time you see anything close to Leovold, be careful because you know it's just a matter of time before you see that card announced and then it's on the ban list. Now personally, I don't even think I really had the chance to play against a Hullbreacher, mostly because the past year or so we haven't really had many opportunities to play in public without hiding behind some layers of plexiglass and wearing masks and all that. So I tended to stay away from it altogether. But for the little time that people did have to play with this card, it clearly ruined many games, it ruined many experiences, so it's an absolute no-brainer. I agree 100% with the decision to ban this card. However, I don't like the precedent of them constantly making these newer busted cards when the design is so clearly intended to mimic Leovold, a card that was already banned, a card that didn't last long either, and a card that just didn't make the game fun whatsoever for anybody else at the table. So anyway, let me know what you think about Hullbreacher. Do you think it deserved to be banned? Are there any other cards currently that you think deserve to be banned? Please let me know in the comment section below, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe, like, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. I really do appreciate it. You guys are awesome. See you all next time.